Hi there guys, you're listening to Ebird Online, and for the second of my 90-day Fiance specials this week, I'm going to take a look at Ben and Stephanie, aka Porno Granny and Porno Grandpa, aka Diamond Fox and Ben Fox. No, I said Diamond Fox. Yes, Fox. That's it. And guys, when people have three different names, they've usually got something to hide. So very rarely have I been as irritated as I am with a couple such as Ben and Stephanie from 90 Day Fiance. So I thought I'd take a little peek into their respective backgrounds to see what I could see. And unfortunately for the eBird, I saw a little too much. But fear not, I've filtered through the trash and I'm bringing you just the gems. Some might say the diamonds. Oh gosh. Really guys, they're far from diamonds. Last week Stephanie decided that she was going to try and pay Anny off. So in other words, give Anny a cheque to get back on a flight to the DR and leave Bryson, her grandson and Robert well alone. As we all know, Anny declined the money, but the way this pair treated Anny and were insinuating that Anny was a bad influence on Bryson, or the relationship between Anny and Robert is not quite what it should be, really got my goat, because neither one of these two people are exactly what we'd call model citizens. So I thought I'd dig a little into their history just to see if, maybe unbeknown to eBird, Stephanie was the crotchless trousered philanthropist, and just to find out what gave them the impression that they could behave like the moral compass for America as regards Anny and Robert. And lo and behold, I discovered they were just a pair of despicable desperados I envisaged them to be. So here for your listening pleasure are 5 facts you didn't know about Porno Granny and Porno Grandpa. Just a very quick message to say, please if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Even when there are no shows out, I'm still coming with the content and still giving you guys specials to listen to. So please don't forget to click that red button and join the eBird's flock, and also don't forget to follow me on Twitter at mbird99. So let's start at the start. And this is fact number 1. And I'm sure by now all of you guys know that Stephanie is an adult film actress, otherwise known as Diamond Fox. Interestingly enough, Stephanie's actual given name is Stephanie Woodcock. Stephanie, you really didn't need to change your name to Diamond Fox. And Stephanie's from Albany in Georgia, and Stephanie's been in the adult film industry for about 15 years. She's 46 and she has approximately 390 titles, so it's fair to say she's somewhat experienced in the industry. And so Stephanie also has 800,000 followers on Insta, but when 90 Day Fiance started, she only had 300,000, and eBird is of the belief that she actually went on the show in order to promote herself and to promote her business. I believe all of her outrageous antics this season and all of her rudeness towards Anny and Robert was specifically designed to get maximum coverage so she could gain more followers and make more money. And if you think about it, really, this is all at the expense of Bryson, because it's only going to be another 5 years or so until his friends are at school, getting their iPhones out and looking at More with her new out. She claims that Bryson's the light of her life. I don't know, what do you guys think? And fact number 2 is that Stephanie used to be in the military. So at the age of 21, Stephanie got married and joined the Navy. However, less than a year later, Stephanie was discharged from the service. What for, I hear you ask? You guessed it, sexual misconduct. So according to Stephanie, because she was single, just having sex at all whilst she was in the Navy was illegal. So you're not allowed to have sex whilst you're single. And she was discharged from the military in 11 months and 11 days for having sex with another private. So it would seem that she got married, had 2 kids, got divorced, joined the Navy and got kicked out for sexual misconduct. I think I've got it right. Although some of these dates are a little shady. And just to give you some idea of the elite group in which Stephanie found herself, all the discharges in 2014, only 0.31% were bad conduct discharges. So a very, very small amount. Well done, Stephanie. And fact number 3 is that Ben talked Stephanie into becoming an adult film actress. Yes guys, you did hear that right. And Stephanie met Ben, her husband, just over 21 years ago. So they met in the grocery store Albertson, and at the time Ben was apparently the manager of the store. And oh how Ben's look changed when he met Porno Granny. No more working for him. Why work when you can just live off immoral earning? And so they initially decided to jumpstart their career in real estate. Jumpstart's really quite a phrase. By Stephanie entering a career in porn. And Stephanie tells us Ben's never given her grief about her work. He's 100% supportive, and in fact it's Ben who suggested that she try porn in order to raise money to start buying real estate. And honestly, I wonder to myself, how did that conversation go? What would make you begin that conversation? How would you broach that subject? The mind boggles. So what a little charmer it turns out that Ben is. Ben's sitting casting aspersions on Robert and Annie and the state of their relationship when he suggested to his then, I don't know if it was his wife by this point or just his girlfriend, that she begin a career in porn. Now I know lots of people are going to say sex work is just as justifiable as any other type of work, but I will say this, when you go into line of work with a certain level of a social stigma, which let's be real, sex work has, it's not really Ben that's going to get the flack for it, it's Stephanie. So if 10 years later Ben decided, yep, Stephanie, I'm leaving you, I've found a better model, where would that leave her? I'm all for women making their own decisions, but I really don't like it when guys suggest things like that. I'm sorry, but I just don't. And as for Ben being supportive about her work, of course he is. He's got money, he's got a lifestyle, he no longer has to work. If she can flip out a checkbook and write a 15 grand check to Annie to get rid of her, it goes without saying they've got a pretty decent lifestyle. And fact number 4 is that Stephanie once sent Robert an accidental nude. Having said that, I guess when you send as many nudes as Stephanie probably does, it's not that unbelievable. And of this whole debacle, Stephanie insists people are making a big deal out of nothing. Stephanie, Robert was your son-in-law at one point. Sending him a nude is quite a big deal. And so she explains by saying, I was texting my husband while I was out of town for work. I was sending my husband pictures of myself when Robert texted in the middle of this, and I inadvertently sent a picture to Robert. And she continues, I wanted to jump off a bridge when I realised what had happened. Stephanie, there's quite a few... Stephanie, the Ebird has seen what you've had for dinner for the last 15 years. Why would you want to jump off a bridge just because Robert's seen it, and more than likely, again? So what does Robert think about this whole thing? Well, it's Robert that actually leaked the story in the first instance, and when a follower on his IG account asked him what had happened, Robert responded, she said it was by accident. So it doesn't really seem as if Robert thinks it was an accident at all. Very interesting indeed. And I just wonder one thing. What's the point of sending your husband nudes or private shots when everything that you've ever got or ever done is on the internet anyway? Why waste the time? And fact number 5 about this pair is possibly the most interesting. In 2016, Ben was arrested for domestic battery. So this incident involved Ben, Stephanie, and Stephanie's daughter. And so for the purposes of this, we'll call Stephanie's daughter Daisy. So this all happened in Florida. A woman called police one day and they were called to a Walgreens. And when they got there, the woman was shaking and crying and she had small cuts and abrasions on her face and body. The woman turned out to be Stephanie herself. And she told police her husband Ben had been drinking alcohol and things had gotten out of hand. And she said she wanted to be left alone that night, but her husband kept grabbing at her to go to the bedroom. So apparently then, Stephanie got pushed and scratched by Ben and her own daughter Daisy. However, police spoke with Daisy and they stated that her account of things was inconsistent with Stephanie's account, and they also said she was slurring her speech as she spoke. Whilst they were being questioned at Walgreens, Ben was nowhere to be seen. So the officers went to the couple's home, but Ben maintained that nothing had happened. So Ben kept saying nothing happened, and the police asked him again and again and he still said nothing happened. The police didn't believe him and placed him under arrest for domestic simple battery. In the opinion of the arresting police officer, Ben was the aggressor. And so court documents stated that charges were not filed because insufficient evidence exists to prove the charge beyond a reasonable doubt due to an uncooperative victim and lack of independent evidence. So I take from this that they had a drunken argument, and obviously because there was blood and scratches and abrasions, either Ben or Stephanie's daughter put hands to Stephanie, but most likely Ben based on what she'd said, but she then later made up with him and decided not to press charges. So given all of this, it's really surprising to me that they can cast any aspersions against Annie. And Annie actually sold both of them out last week because Stephanie's previously said, Bryson means everything to me and I'm one of his primary caregivers, but Annie pointed out, you haven't rang him in 2 months. The only time he's spoken to you is when he asks for you and Robert then has to call you. So it's my belief that Porno Granny is putting herself on TV as concerned grandmother Stephanie Woodcock, but really she's concerned with her IG figures as Diamond Fox. Domestic battery is very serious. It seems as if they can't hold their drink, and it also seems as if money is their god. And Ben, who acts holier than thou, will sell out his wife, his grandkid, anyone that seems to stand in between him and those Benjamin Franklins. And I'll always side-eye someone who doesn't really want to work. And obviously Ben was gainfully employed as a manager of a grocery store when he met Stephanie, but the moment the books started rolling in, he decided to sit at home and act as head pimp in charge. It's really not somebody that can tell anybody else how to live. So guys, tell me what you think about this pair. Do you think they're as dodgy as the day is long? And do you think that they're fair for the way that they've treated Anny? I'm not saying Anny's perfect, but I genuinely do not think she's any worse than either of these pair. Also, just to let you know, I haven't mentioned Stephanie's daughter by name or any details about her, because as we know, she hasn't been in the show, and for whatever reason she doesn't want to be found, and I really don't want to bring anyone to public notice that wants to stay under the radar. So guys, put your comments down below. I look forward to reading them as usual, and please, if you haven't as yet, subscribe. I'm closing in on 20,000 subscribers, and I'm really keen to get there as soon as possible. Thank you so much for listening. You've been listening to Ebird Online. Ciao for now.